Good evening, everyone. So last week we discussed about the recovery models, and in that we discussed about the what is the recovery model, and in that we discussed about the what is the full recovery model and what is the simple recovery model. We didn't discuss about the bulk log recovery model. So today class we are going to discuss about the bulk log recovery model and what is the difference between fully logged and minimally logged. So as a database, we need to understand this scenario, difference between fully logged and minimally logged. In each and every interview, irrespective of the L1 to L3 and Arctic, they will ask this question because we need to understand the transaction log behavior while keeping into this recovery model. So if you not tell the properly answer, we don't have complete knowledge on the SQL server side. So that is a reason we need to keep concentrating on this recovery models and differences. And also we are going to discuss about the backups. Okay. So here backups, we are going to discuss what are the backups we have and how we are going to take we are going to take backups to the local disk, and as well as we are going to take the backup to Azure storage. Okay, that Azure storage generally will use for whenever you migrating the customers from on-prem to Azure. At that time, how we are going to move our backups, like how we are going to move the customer backups to our environment, and how we are going to restore, how we are going to eliminate the maximum downtime, how we are going to quickly restore the database without uploading and downloading to the shared location. Now can we restore directly from Azure storage? This area we are going to discuss. Let me start with the recovery model bulk log. Okay. This is the database. Each and every database having, whenever we're creating one MDF and as well as one transaction log file. Okay. So we discussed what is the transaction log file. The transaction log file, it's store the current transaction and it will provide the we completely discuss about the what is the purpose of transaction log, right? I'm not going to discuss again for the transaction log definition, but now we'll see how the transactions are logged. Okay, so this is the one database. Let me go here. No, come on. Wait a second. This is another database. This is this particular database, MDF. This particular database. Yeah. So whenever we entering the front end, the each and every transaction, it has to come to the transaction log file, right? So it has to come the transaction log file. Here, once it commit, then it will go to the EMDF. So whenever the transaction is coming to the transaction log file, each and every transaction have multiple attributes. Like what is the transaction number, what is the transaction ID, that particular transaction, which object, and that particular transaction, having which index, and also that particular having the old image, and that particular transaction LSN number, and that particular transaction which extent it is going to modify, and that particular transaction which type of extent it is going to modify. Like each and every transaction we have like a 124 attributes we have. How many we have? 124 plus attributes you have. So whenever each transaction comes, it has to record this 124 records. So think about like you have like a 1000 transactions. What will happen? 1000 into 124 attributes, it has to record. So if you record like that, what will happen? The transaction log file will grow for further, because there you go. If you want to accumulate all these transactions in the transaction log file, what it has to do? It has to increase the transaction log file. So that is the reason in the bulk log recovery model. In the bulk log recovery model, it is the one kind of recovery model. It will tell the transaction log file how it has to behave. Okay. While recording into the transaction log file, what are the information it has to record. So while recording into the transaction log file, what are the transactions are recording? Those transactions are minimally logged. Okay. So minimally logged means like the transaction having multiple attribute rates. In the attributes, it will take the attributes related to transaction LSN number, and as well as the what extents and what type of extents it's going to modify. Only those information it will take. So that means like if it is 1024 means the transaction it will record only kind of a 4 attributes. So that means the transact what are the information is going to store, that size will be minimal. Okay. Then if your size is minimal, that means the transaction log won't grow. If you are going to record all attributes, the transaction log file will grow very fast. But if you keep the transaction like a database recovery model in the bulk log, what it will do? It will do only minimal log. In that minimal log, it will record only few informations. That is the reason the transaction log file growth is very minimal. So here, once the checkpoint occur, what it will do? The same thing. It will go to the disk. Okay. Transaction it comes, it will go to the transaction log file. Once the checkpoint occur, it will go to the transaction MDF. But as I mentioned in the past, the transaction log file having two portions. One is active portion, another one is inactive portion. Okay. So here, if you keep the bulk log recovery model, that we can take the log backup. Okay. So how the log backup will perform? The log backup will take active person and as well as the inactive person. And as well as it will truncate the inactive portion of the data. So here the data comes here, the data is committed and it will go to the disk. But actual data will be sitting into the transaction log file. And what are the current transaction is going active, that will be backed up. But that data won't truncate. So once the log backup is taken, the inactive portion will be truncated. But what will happen? Simply it will truncate. But if you want to go for point in time restore, it is not possible for the bulk log recovery model whenever the bulk log operations. So here a little bit confused and tricky. Why? Because when you keep the database recovery model as a bulk log, there are two things. The interview will ask, if you keep the bulk log recovery model, point in time recovery is possible or not. So we have to tell yes, some scenario, and some scenario no. Why? Because if you keep the bulk log recovery model and we don't have any bulk operations, the bulk operation means like if you type like a bulk insert, rebuild in operations, that scenario, the transaction log will behave different. Like whenever those transactions are coming, those transactions are minimally logged. At that time, we cannot perform the point in time restore. Why? Because what are the transactions are recording, those are minimally logged. If you want to go for redo and recovery pages, we need all the transaction log information, like all the information for the transactions. As I mentioned, the transaction will have 124 attributes, right? If you want to go for recovery, the transaction must have record all this information. If you- Manoj, I think you can keep mute, okay? Somebody like you're talking, okay? Can you keep mute? Hello? Hello? Okay. So if you want to go for a recovery or redo pages, whatever the log backup we are taking, that log backup should have all this information. Otherwise, whenever you're going to for the restore the transaction logs, that transaction will have the limited data, not all the entire data. So that is the reason point in time is not possible. But point in time is possible before the bulk log operations. So here in the scenario, what we will do, the transaction log backup will perform the transaction log file. So these transaction log backups will schedule based upon our SLA, like RPO and RTO values. Sometimes we'll go for 15 minutes. Sometimes we will go for 5 minutes. Sometimes we'll go for 10 minutes. Sometimes we'll go for 30 minutes. Sometimes we'll go for 1 hour. So here, the transaction log, currently time is like 5 o'clock. Okay. 5 p.m. Okay. So until 5 p.m., there is no bulk operations not performing. At that time, if you keep the bulk log recovery also, what will happen? What are the transactions are coming? Those transactions will log into the fully logged. Okay. In the 5 p.m., what we are going to do? In the 5 p.m., the transactions are logging as a bulk log. At that time, what will happen? The transaction log record only minimal information. So we schedule the backups every
పెట్టుకోలేదేమో కదా
30 minutes.
అయ్యి 10,000 ఇచ్చేట్టుగా సోమవారం
I think you can put mute.
కావ్యాన్ని చేతి కొట్టించేస్తాను కంపల్సరిగా సోమవారం నైట్ కొట్టేస్తాను అంటున్నాడు.
You can mute Adi garu. You can mute him.
Oh, okay, let me check. I'm not sure who's talking, but let me check.
ప్లేట్కి వెళ్ళిపోతాయి కదండి నాకు పోయి.
Yeah, you can mute him. Otherwise, you can keep it like mute all.
అన్నంకి ఇచ్చేద్దాం కదా అవి సోమవారం నైట్ ని కొట్టించేస్తాను 10,000 ఇంకా.
Funny. I think funny.
Funny, correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, now is muted.
Okay. Hello? I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So until 5 p.m., the transactions are recording as a normal transactions. So that time, all the transactions are fully logged. In the 5 p.m., the transactions are coming as like a bulk logged. So, like the transaction coming as like a bulk inserts. At that time, the transaction will minimally logged. So, as per the our log backup schedule, what it will do? Every 15 minutes, transactions backup will perform. While performing the log backup, what it will do? It will take active portion and inactive portion. So until 5 p.m., it will take active person and inactive person. So until 5 p.m., in the inactive person, what are the data, how the logged in, it is fully logged. But until 5 p.m., what are the inactive transactions? That transaction having minimally logged. So that means until 5 p.m., we can go for point in time restore. After 5 p.m., if you want to restore point in time, it is not possible. And again, the thing is like the bulk operations are performed from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Okay. And again, from 6 p.m. onwards, there is no bulk operations. From 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., the transactions are minimally logged. From the 6 p.m. onwards, all the transactions are fully logged. So here also, we can go up to 5 p.m. Why? Because if you want to go for point in time restore until 6 p.m., we can restore up to 5 p.m. And if you try to restore 5:30, in that 5:30 log backup, what it will have? The transactions are minimally logged. So while restoring, we need all the data that weren't present. So that is the reason in between the any time bulk log operations are happened at the time minimally logged. That to that point of time only we can go for point in time restore, not after that. That is the advantage and disadvantage of the bulk log recovery model. Generally, we won't recommend it to keep the bulk log recovery model. If you want to keep the bulk log recovery model, that scenario we are going to lose the point in time restore. So let me recap full recovery model and bulk log recovery model. The full recovery model, all the transactions will be fully logged. Fully logged means all the attributes will recorded. That's the reason transaction log file will grow drastic. That's the reason we will recommend it to take the transaction log backups. If you take the transaction log backups, we can if it is possible for point in time restore. If the point in time restore is possible, so that is the reason we can recommend it to keep production environment. And what in the bulk log recovery model, to whenever the bulk operations are performed, at that time transaction log file will go growth. That time we can recommend it to keep bulk log recovery model. When you keep the bulk log recovery model, the transactions are minimally logged. While minimally logging, it will record only extent and mixed information, not other information. That is the reason transaction log file growth will be minimal. Whenever the bulk log operations, that time point in time recovery is not possible. So here difference is what is the fully logged and what is the minimally logged. So now you understood, right? So once you understood, now we can go for the log file architecture. Any doubts? Like fully logged and minimally logged. If you understand fully logged and minimally logged, we can easily explain the recovery model for full recovery model and as well as bulk log recovery model. I'm hoping, I think you people understood, okay? What is the full recovery model and bulk log recovery model and simple recovery model? Simple recovery model I didn't explain today, but I today explained for the differences: bulk logged, like minimally logged and fully logged. So now we are going to discuss about the transaction log file architecture. Okay. So I took the like database here. Let me, I can keep here. This is the MDF. This is the MDF. LDF means like a transaction log file. So just before, like in the past classes, we discussed about the what is the transaction log file and the behavior of the transaction log file. So the behavior of the transaction log file, it will tell the recovery model. Okay. In that recovery model, we have like a full, simple and bulk log. So here, actually the transaction log file, how it will create and how many and how it will behave and how it will go for reuse. Okay. So like the transaction log will be there. So every transaction will come here, not here. Don't. Every transaction come here. Okay. If you keep on coming like this, what will happen? It has to extend the transaction log for it until what are the space we have RS and what are the size we have limited for the transaction log file. So if the inactive portion is truncate, how it will going to use and how the transaction log file will be divided. Okay. So here, as I mentioned, the transaction having two portions. One is active portion and is inactive portions. Okay. So the active portion means like transactions are coming. Transactions are coming. Okay. But those are not committed. If you're not committed, what will happen? Those transactions won't move to the MDF. That means still those transactions are continuing on the transaction log file. Okay. If the transaction like a committed, what will happen? Those transactions will move to the MDF. So here, suppose this is a committed. Commit. Okay. Suppose this is commit. Not committed. This is also not committed. So here we are suppose like we have a 4 transactions. One transaction came, it is committed. Like here, one transaction came. one transaction sir came, maybe that may be single statement or maybe multiple statement. Those transactions sir came, the transaction log file. That may be a full recovery model, or maybe that may be bulk log recovery model, that may be simple recovery model of the transaction log file. But the transaction has to come the transaction log file. Once it commit, what it will do, the commit data will move to the MDF. The same thing, we have another transaction came, that was user performed. Once he committed, the transaction will move to the MDF. So how it will move, we explained it, the checkpoint. The using background checkpoint, the committed data will go to the MDF. So the third transaction came, it is doing some operations, but it is not committed. Okay, still it's doing the operations. And one more user came, it is doing, and it is doing the operations. Okay, it is not committed. So here the committed transaction portion we can call like a inactive portion of the transaction log file. Okay, so what are the data committed? That portion we can call like a inactive portion. What are the portion is still not committed, currently going on? That may be running, that may be rollback, whatever it may be, it is currently running, it is not committed. That portion we can call like a inactive portion. So, and the thing is like we have one more transaction came. Okay, one more transaction came. It has to accommodate the space to transaction log file. The already keeping here, but here one more transaction came. It is trying to keep the data in the transaction log file, but here we don't have space. That means the transaction log file extended until the disk, but here we don't have space. That's what we'll do. We don't have space to keep the current transactions, and we get the error like transaction log file full, and we can see the number 9002, the transaction log file full, and what are the upcoming transaction? There is no space to keep. That time it's kind of like a down for the database. So in this scenario, how we are going to reuse the transaction log file? Why? Because what are the transactions are committed, those transaction data will be moved. Once we move it, this committed portion has to truncate. Then only the what are the upcoming transaction, those transaction will go use for inactive portion. Okay, so initially the data is committed, the data will go to MDF, but still the data will be presented here. So once we perform the transaction log backup, what it will do, the transaction log backup, it will scan the transaction log file and it will take the committed active portion of the transaction log file and it scan the and inactive portion of the log file and it will take, but it will truncate the data from the inactive portion. So once it's the committed transaction is truncated, the what are the data we have, that will be wiped up, so that what are the new transactions are coming, those can go and use here. Because that inactive portion we don't have data, because the data is truncated, that portion will go for reuse. Okay, and here one more thing is like the transaction log file divided into number of virtual log files like VLFs. So that initially whenever the transaction log file created, that time the virtual log file will be created. Like as I mentioned, the committed and inactive portion side, the committed inactive portion inside the transaction log file that has stored in the virtual log files. Let me go to the diagram. Yeah. So every the transaction log file will be divided into the number of virtual log files. That virtual log file may be a committed transaction or may be uncommitted transaction. That means that may be active person or may be inactive persons. So once the transaction log file reaching into the end of the transaction log file, then it will look for the friend. It will look for the friend and it will look for the scan for the virtual log file. That virtual log file having committed or active person or inactive person. That virtual having inactive person, that scenario, the upcoming transaction will be stored here. Suppose initial virtual having inactive person, then what it will do? It will go to the another virtual log file and it will check that virtual log file having active person or inactive person. If it is inactive person, the new transaction will be go for reusable. Why? Because whenever the checkpoint happen, the data will go to the disk, but actual data will be staying here. Once the transaction log backup happen, that will be truncated so that that active person like inactive person will be truncated. It will be used for the upcoming transactions. So here, the dividing the size of the virtual log files. The virtual log files size we cannot tell, but number of the based upon the transaction log file, how many virtual log files will be created. Okay, so generally, if you want to go for quick recovery, the virtual log file will be minimal. That means the transaction log size should be minimal. Why? Because based upon the transaction log size, the virtual log count will be like a virtual log will be created. So here, if you go here, so if you have the transaction log file having 64 MB, if I go here, if I go for properties, if I go for files, so here the transaction log file says current size is almost 2 GB. 2 GB means how many virtual logs will be created? So if you have more than 1 GB, that means the transaction having 16 VLFs. Okay. If the transaction log file 64 MB to 1 GB, that time the transaction log file will have 8 virtual log files. So currently we have a 2 GB transaction log file size. In the transaction log file, we are having 16 VLFs. Suppose, let me take you one more database. If I go for files, I have the size like 8 MB. If it is 8 MB, how many virtual log files we have? So below 64 MB, that means we have 4 VLFs. The interview will ask how many VLFs visually created if the database size, like a transaction log size. We have to tell the transaction log file size is from 1 MB to 64 MB. The transaction log file will be divided into VLFs. What is the VLF? Virtual log file. If the transaction log file 64 MB to 1 GB, the transaction log file will be divided into 8 physical virtual log files. If the transaction log file size is 1 GB, we'll have 16 VLFs. So this is the document for Microsoft. So it will tell, interview will ask, can you explain the SQL Server log file architecture? So here what we need to do, we have to explain the concept, what is the transaction log file. After that, how the transactions are going to the MDF. That time we have to explain wall concept. Okay. First we have to explain what is the transaction log file, what is the purpose of transaction log file. Then we have to enter into the what is the wall. Wall concept last time I explained it. Just you have to give the 2-3 information about the wall. After that, we have to tell the answer. The transaction log file will be divided into 2 portions. Those are inactive portion and as well as the active portion. Okay, let me go to my notes. Yeah. So the transaction log file divided into 2 parts. One is active portion and inactive portion. So active portion, what will be? That may be what are the transactions are user entering that is running. That may be what are the transactions are. Suppose the user entered the transaction. That may be he uncommitted. Like maybe he rolled back the session. He killed the session. At that time, what will happen? The transaction will go for rollback state. So that is one thing. And one more thing, still current transactions are running. So the active person will have committed transaction and fail of the medicinal state and as well as what are the current transactions are running. And inactive log. The inactive log is like a fully committed data. Then we have to explain this log reuse status. How we are going to use log reuse status. Like that time you have to tell transaction, whenever you perform the transaction log backup, the log will be truncated from the inactive portion. That the portion will go use for upcoming transaction. And here, and also we have to start explaining and how many virtual log files are divided. These all components we have to explain for the transaction log file architecture. Okay. So these are the main components for the transaction log file architecture. See, the SQL Server database engine divides each physical log file internally into several virtual log files. Okay. That virtual log file says there is no fixed size. Like we have a 4 VLFs. In that one VLF, how much size it has, we cannot. That size can be controlled by the SQL Server engine. We don't have control. And there is no fixed number of virtual log file. But even though like we have a normal some content for the Microsoft documentation, if the size is this much, we can have this many files we have. So, and there is no fixed virtual log files for physical log file. The database, the database engine choose the database engine will create the virtual log files, and the database engine, it will decide the size of the virtual log file size. The database engine tries to maintain the few virtual log files. Okay. If you have the minimal virtual log files, the recovery of the database will be very fast. So what are the previously I showed those size here. Okay. You can go through this article, and as well I will send the PDF so that you can understand. Okay. So this is for the log file architecture. So right now we discussed 2 key components for what is the minimal log, what is the bulk log, and transaction log file reuse status, and what is the active person, what is the inactive person, how the inactive person will be truncated, and what is the virtual log file, and how many virtual log files we have created. These 4 or 5 to interview questions will comes. Okay. So I will wait for 2 minutes. If you have any doubts, I can explain here. Otherwise, I'll move to the backups. If people have any doubts, okay. Let me go for backups. Okay.
No doubts.
Okay. But it is a key important. Okay. If people after the class just read the those like topics, like what is the active transaction and what is the like what I meant to say, minimally logged, fully logged, transaction log file architecture. Okay. Here the transaction log file we don't have much practical, but we need to understand the how the transaction log file is going to reuse. Okay. So here. Transaction ID, LSN number, images. These are the attributes. Okay. If you want to more, just you can go for this option. That will tell what are the informations are recording. Okay. Let me go for the backups. Okay. So here so what is the purpose of backups and why we need to take? Last class we discussed, right? Like if something goes like a hardware failure, if maybe like a kind of any natural disaster occurs, and it may be like a kind of any user deleted the data. At that time, we want to go and restore the database, then from the backups. Okay. If you're taking the backups, what information it will store and what are the information it is going to take. Okay. And how if you keep the recovery model, what are the backups will perform? Like we discussed, right? A full recovery model, all the log backups will be taken, like a full backup, differential backup, and transaction log backups. These are the key backups. We have other backups, but full differential log, these are the key backups. If you keep the database simple recovery model, then we can take only full backup and differential backup, not for the log backup. We explained right why log backups are not perform in the simple recovery model. Why? Because in the by default, the log and truncate algorithm enable in the simple recovery model. So that is the reason when the transaction log file reaches to 50 to 60%, the what are the inactive portion in the transaction log file, that portion will be truncated. So if the portion is truncated, there is no option to take T-log backups. So that is the reason transaction log file is not possible. And bulk log recovery model, we can take full backup and differential backup and transaction log backups. But here, sometimes point in time is possible, sometimes it's not possible for the bulk log. Then if you ask the interview, we have to explain and we have to go for in-depth explanation or like why it is not happening because of the minimal log. They will ask what is the minimal, you can explain. So now I'm telling like what is the backup, why we need to take, right? So suppose this VM is corrupted, okay, this computer is corrupted. So at that time, this instance we won't connect, right? If you are not able to connect this instance, that time the business will be go down, right? If the go down, operations or customers down, then what we'll do? We have to bring the customer as soon as possible to run the business. So here, if you don't have any backups, we cannot able to restore all these databases. If you have the backup, that means exact copy of the database or maybe current transaction backups, we can go and restore to the other computer and we can give it to the data. So that is the reason we have to take the backups. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, yes, we are listening.
That is the great. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one more thing. So, Adi, you said that we are going to take the backups, right? So, how we are going to do that?
Yeah, I will show you. I will show you.
No, not that. I mean, we are taking the backups here, and you are saying that we are restoring in this another laptop.
Yeah. So no. See, the something was like this computer is corrupted. Okay.
Okay.
So that's what will happen? Are you able to connect the computer? If you are not able to connect the computer, what will happen? Are you able to connect this SQL server? No, right. If you are not able to connect the SQL server, are you able to connect this database? No, right. So that means our business is down. So if you're not taking this database backups, how you are going to restore into another machine, another computer? Because this computer already dead. The Windows team will build a new computer. Okay. And that computer we will install the SQL server. Once we install the SQL server, what are the backups you are going to take? Those backups we will restore so that the data will come. Once the data comes, the application will connect to this particular database. Once the application is able to connect this database, the operations will perform. We are not going to restore into this machine. Why? Because this machine is completely dead. Kind of like a natural disaster occur. Like what are the data center we are going to keep? That data center is like a flat scale. That building is collapsed, or maybe kind of like a some war was happened. That building is gone. Okay, operation will be dead, right? Actually, the what are the data center we are going to keep? That data center is gone. That is
Okay.
affected only for one kind of like a particular place. But if you think about the bank, okay, the bank having multiple branches. The thing is like the main branch, like Mumbai, because if you take our bank, the data center may be kept keeping in the Kolkata or Mumbai. Here, Mumbai or Kolkata affected from the Pakistan war. Okay. So at that scenario, what will happen? Entire business will go right. Why? Because all our other states bank information, the physically data storing into the Mumbai, but the Mumbai building was collapsed. So that means what are the money we are storing? That was gone right. But how we are going to recover the data? If you're not taking that backup, how we are going to that backup to the other states and other people? So that scenario, we have a different type of scenario. So what are the data we are going to keep? That particular server, we are going to keep one more server in the different data center. So it's kind of like availability. One data, what are the keeping we are adding into the data? The data will be stored into the different places. Okay. So that one region affected, another region will comes. But that scenario, the customer has to pay more. Why? Because we have to maintain different data centers. In that, if you maintain different data centers, that you have to maintain buildings and hardwares and network and human power, right? That will require more cost. So that scenario, what we will do? What are the data we are going to keep? That particular instance. Regular interval, we will take the backup. That backup, we are not going to store it in the same building. We are not going to store it in the same place. That backup we are going to keeping it to the maybe Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. Maybe we are going to keep other places. So what are the physical data we have? That physical data will take the backup. That backup we are going to keeping into the some other secured locations. Is something happening at that particular data center what we are keeping, our data will be securely stored into the other area, right? If you have the data, then you can go and build the new server and restore it, so that operation will comes. So think about like a 2008 or 2011. There is a Afghanistan attack, right? Pakistan attack, right? The World Trade Center in the America. What they thought, if they collapsed that building, the entire data will be collapsed. There is no data will be stored, recover. What they thought, once they attacked that particular building, but it is not affect the business, right? Why? Because what are the data is keeping into that building data center, the data is sharing across the global. So that have different secondary data centers, or maybe the secondary secure location, we can store the data. If something goes wrong in the primary location, what are the data we are going to keeping into that particular information, we can go and restore it, we can utilize. So that is the purpose backups comes. So here backups are two types, VM level backup and as well as the SQL server level backups. If you take the VM level backup, what it will do, it will take entire the VM backup, and while taking the VM backup, it will take what are the disk we have, that will take C drive backup, that will take E drive backup. But if you're going to take the VM level backup, what are the backup you're going to keep, that storage will be fill up. So that is the reason that VM level backup, maybe it will go for every day, or maybe it will go for weekly once. If you're going for every day, then we are going to lose 24-hour data. Why? Because the data keep on coming to 24/7, right? So for that, every 50 minutes or every 30 minutes, we can take different kind of backup mechanism. Those backups we are going to keep into the some secure locations. If something happen, that may be disasters, that may be this computer hardware failure, maybe somebody deleted. That scenario, what are the backups we are keeping into the different place? That backups will take it and restore it. You got it, Manas? In a doubt.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got it. But I have another doubt. See, I have taken the backup right now.
Okay.
Okay, in my laptop,
Hmm.
and I just, I mean, what I did is my laptop was fall down and it has been broken.
Hmm.
I have installed my SQL server in another laptop.
Hmm.
Can I get the backup, the same backup?
No, wait, that's what I told. So we should not keep the backup in the same server. We should not keep the
Okay.
backup in the same region. What is the pointing of if you keeping into the here? I have this database I have. If I keep the backup here in the same in the E drive, the computer itself corrupted. The computer is shut down. We cannot able to hear, right? So that is the reason the real time we no organizations backups are keeping into the locally, because if you're not able to connect, there is no pointing to keep the backups here. So backup should be keeping into the some other location, not for here. So that is the reason everyone the taking the backups and keeping into the cloud. Okay. So that means the backups will be storing into the across the globe. So suppose like I have the computer here, but my backups will storing, I can storing into the US. Okay. Suppose if something goes wrong, the Pakistan is attacked, India. So some places are affected. The backup will be gone, right? So that is the reason I'm taking the backup into the cloud. But that cloud location I'm storing into the US. If something happen in India also, I can able to retrieve the data because I'm keeping the backup into the US. I can directly go to the Azure storage. I can get it. Now you got it? Huh?
Got it. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
So whatever the data we are backupping, I mean, backing up or retrieving anything, we are going to keep it in the cloud, right?
And see,
For
the
safety
cloud means
purpose.
like not only exactly cloud, different location. Okay. Why I'm telling cloud? Some computers, like some organizations are still not at using cloud, right? What they will do? They will keep the backup not in this server, maybe some other server, or maybe some other region, maybe some other file share, kind of like a go down. See, I have a Bangalore. See, what are the data I have? I may be keeping in the Tamil Nadu, maybe I may be keeping on the Hyderabad. If something happen in the Bangalore, what I can do? My data is available in the Tamil Nadu go down. I can take it, I can restore it. Okay. It is not only like a cloud, right? The cloud means like the data center is storing the different that is maintained with the Microsoft. But here, if you have the own data center, if you have the own place, you can keep it, but not in the same location.
Yeah, got it. And Microsoft also is providing some storage type, right? Like cloud.
Yeah, so that's the
Yeah,
reason.
I
Like,
forgot the name.
yeah, Azure like AWS, Google Cloud, and GCP, that is Google Cloud,
GCP.
AWS,
Yes,
Amazon,
yes.
Azure, Microsoft Cloud. Okay. So today class I can show you. Okay. So
Right.
here I can show here. This is the
Yeah, sure, sure.
cloud I logged in. Okay. I can show how to take the backup of these things. Okay. So uh, here that is the purpose of the backup. Okay. So now we have a different of. So we have a different of backups we have. One is full backup, and another one is differential backup. Another one is a log backup. We have a copy only backup. We have a mirrored backup. We have a tile log backup. We have a file group backup. We have a file backup. But in that, the traditional backups, generally we have full differential log. Okay. If anyone asks, can you give me the what is the backups and types of backups? What we can tell the names, but not the numbers. Okay. So we can tell what is the backup and types of backups like a full backup, differential backup, and log backups, copy only backup, and striped backup, and mirror backup. If you know other backups, you can explain. But in this class, I'm going to explain these backups until like a full differential log, tile log, mirror backup, split backup, and copy only backup. Okay. Other backups we have, but in the real organizations, we are not using that. But in the rare cases, some organizations will go for file group backups and file backups. But most of the organizations, they are not using. Okay. So now we are going to talk about the backups. This is a backup. Oops. Okay, here we can go slowly. Okay, not hurry. Okay, you people has to understand and get the knowledge. So here, don't concentrate how quickly we are going to complete the class. And here we need to concentrate how quickly we are going to grab the knowledge. That is the important. Okay, like Adi said, the class will be completed 75 days. That means 75 hours. But here that is not possible. That will take a longer time also. But concentrate of the topics. If I not cover any topics, you people ask so that I can cover. Okay. The only concentrate how we are going to grab the terminology, how we are going to grab the knowledge, not for the time spending. Okay. If I want to complete, I can complete the class from morning to evening. But the thing is like, if people won't get the knowledge, that waste of joining from your side and the waste of teaching from my side. Okay. So some people will think like Adi is like charging very minimal. Adi is going to cover the all the topics or not. Okay. So here I started the class like a minimal price. Why? Because I'm going to use you people as a brand ambassador. If you people get the jobs, so that I joined this person. The person is explaining very nice. I can able to understand. I got the job. Once I get that name, then I can go and increase. So that's the reason like this I'm going to charge very minimal, but I'm going to cover all the topics. No need to worry about are these charging this much of a small amount. Are these going to cover all real-time topics or not? Don't worry about the real-time topics. I'm going to cover pin to pin what are the topics you are going to help for the real time. Okay. So what is the backup? The backup is the copy of the SQL Server database. Okay. So SQL Server backup is a copy of the SQL Server database. It components such as like files, file groups, and as well as the it will take the what are the kept inside the database. So what will happen if the backup means like it will take entire the structure of the database, exact copy of the database. So here it will take table information, it will take view information, it will take programmability. That means it will take stored present information, it will take user information, and as well as it will take the what are the data we have, this particular MDF data information, this will take transaction log file information, along with it will take the this file location, it will take this particular MDF and LF information. The goal is like it will take this particular data. The data will be MDF and as well as log backup. Okay. That is the backup. The backup means it will take the copy of the database and it will take the components of the database. What are the we have? So while taking the backup, we have different types of backups. If you perform the one kind of backup, what information it will take? If you take the other backup, what information it will take? So here, the first backup is the full backup. The full backup is the base backup. Okay. And what is the base backup? Base backup means it's a first backup. So the full backup is the complete copy of the entire database. That means the complete database means like, as I mentioned, it will take table information, it will take view information. What are the seeing we have? It will take photocopy, exact copy of the current state of the database. Suppose this particular database is having 10 GB. That 10 GB data it will take. While taking that information, it will take like which user taken this database backup, which server it has taken the backup. In this particular database, what are the files, which location it is taking the going to that like where the location is stored. Those information it will take. That means exact copy. So here, the full backup is a complete copy of the entire database, including all data objects. Objects means it may be table, it may be view, it may be procedure, it may be some other functions. Like in the objects means like a kind of a here. What are the seeing here? These are kind of like a objects. Table is the one object, view is the one object, and in that programmability, stored is the one object, and I don't have here, but I think I have any functions here. Yeah, this is stored base. This stored base also functions, and these functions also we have a objects, database triggers. The trigger also function, and some other values. Those are comes to the objects. So objects means not only table. It may be view, it may be function, it may be stored procedure, it may be trigger also. And transaction log. So while taking the backup, it will take MDF along with LDF. It will take what is the insert size and what is the auto growth and where the path is going on, what is the logical file name, what is the physical file name. That will capture for the full backup. Okay. So what is the full backup? Full backup is the base backup. It is the exact copy of the database. Whenever we are taking the full backup, it will capture the MDF and LDF information, and it will take all the objects, and it will take the logical name of the and the physical file name of the database, and it will take the information of the those logical file size information and those logs, those logical file auto growth information and those logical files path where it has kept in the that particular instance, those information will capture. So how I'm going to take the backup? So here, what is the command for backup? Okay, so here think about like a here I'm not going to keep here. This is the shared location. Okay, some other server. I am keeping like a backup store. Okay, this drive or maybe this shared location. Think about like it may be local storage or maybe remote storage. Local storage means like we are going to keep the backup in the same server. Okay, and the remote storage or file share means we are going to keep the backup into the different locations other than the this particular computer or this computer virtual node. So here I'm taking the backup as a local, but you can consider as like a remote file share. So I'm taking the see here. So here, what is the command for full backup? So the full backup command is like there is some certain keywords. Okay, the first keyword is like backup, database name, Adi, lab, to disk equal to. I'm going to take the disk. If it is file share also, that maybe comes to the some network path. So if you want to take the network path, that maybe you have to use // then you have to provide that network path. If you use the network path means the backup is going to store the different location or maybe different computer, not for the local, but that may be kind of like a disk only. So currently I'm taking the backup to disk. That we are going to use like a network path. So not network, it's a local path. Okay. Backup, then I'm going to use Adi lab full dot BAK. So here the extension we have to provide a .BAK. Okay, so the keyword, the first keyword we are not going to change, that is the common backup. Then database, that is the keyword. The third keyword, not a keyword, that is the third word, the database which we are going to take the backup. That is the we have to provide the database name which we are going to take. Then fourth keyword, that is the queue. If you want to take the backup to like which locations, right? That is a to address. The to address disk, that to address may be network path, the to address may be Azure storage. So if you are going to take the backup to disk, right, that is a disk, and we have to provide the path of the location we want to store it. Currently, I'm going to store this drive and this folder, and I'm going to provide the name of the backup file. This may be user defined. If you want to give another name also, like my backup. So my may be different, but the fundamental is we have to provide the database name so that we can easily understand this is belongs to this particular database. And after that, we have to provide full keyword. So here, if you want to take this backup through our SQL Server, native backups, I can tell okay, what is the native backups. Native backups means what are the tools are providing from the Microsoft SQL Server, like a maintenance plan or the jobs. Those automation like maintenance plan and jobs we can call like a native. Native means like a own. Own means that particular SQL Server instance. In the SQL Server, they have a one kind of a tool that is kind of like a management, like a maintenance plan. Here, if you see here, if you go for management, here we can see the maintenance plan. So if you take the backups through maintenance plan, those backups we can call like a native backups. So that means the backups are performing from maintenance plan. Even though while taking the native backups, we can keep the backups into the local storage, or maybe we can keep the backups into the network path. Maybe we are going to keep the backup into the Azure storage. But why we call like a native means in that maintenance plan, the Microsoft is provided some SSH packages and inbuilt code. Using that code, we are taking the backups. So what is the other backups? The kind of like a third-party tool or maybe some customized job. So we have a different kind of a backup tools. Okay. That tool will integrate this particular server. The tool itself, it will take the backups for a SQL Server database. That will perform different backups, and we have to scheduling accordingly. Okay. Some companies will use Tivoli, some companies will use Redgate, some companies using kind of like a Idera, SQL Idera, kind of a third-party tool. The third-party tool will interact with the SQL Server and it will take. So those third-party tools, we have to provide the extra cost. Why? Because that is kind of a licensed base. So generally, company to vary. Most of the 60% companies, they're using the native backups. That means through the maintenance plan or maybe using the SQL Server agent jobs through the customized jobs. But some companies will take the backups using the third-party tool. So third-party tool we can discuss later. But if you're going to take third-party tool or native backups, the mechanism is same. If you're going to take the backup third-party tool using full backup, exactly it will do the same as like a native backup. If you're going to use the third party for a differential backup, the same mechanism, what is going to behave in the native backups. Okay. So interview will ask how we are going to taking the backups. So we can tell we are taking the backups, native backups. If you tell the interview like third party tool, they will ask different questions. What is the third party tool? How we are going to manage, and what format the backup will stored, and if you're going to take the backup using third party tool, how the backup compression will happen, and if you're going to use third party tool, how long it will take the backup, how long it will process to complete the backup. If you're going to take the backup is third party, how we are going to restore, these many questions will come. So we are going to switch the technology. We are going to start as a career SQL database. We have to tell them in my organization, I'm going to use, like we are using native backups. using maintenance plan, and we are using Vala script. In that Vala script, we are using customized backups. The backups are going to storing into the locally. But here you can tell the interview we have a kind of a supporting is Azure and few servers are on-prem. So on-prem backups are going to the file share, and Azure servers directly we are going to take the backup to the Azure storage. Okay. After 30 minutes, I can show that Azure backups. Okay. Let me complete these things. So coming to our main agenda, what is the full backup? Just I explained the definition, right? How we are going to take the backup for full backup. The full backup command is backup database name to disk equal to path. If you run it, just copy this one. So suppose if you have any syntax error, I mentioned right how the SQL server the query will behave. So it will check here semantics error and syntax error as well. What are the command you are entering? Okay, the command parser will check what are the command you are entering. This is syntactically corrected or semantically correct, right? So those topics we covered for the SQL architecture. So here for that how I need to check. So here there is a one command parser that will check only for syntax error, not for the semantics error. If you go and click this question mark, it will parse it. While parsing, it will check only syntax error, not for the semantic error. The semantic means like what are the objects, what are the tables, what are the database we are going to keep that existing in the database or not. So here, if you go and click, this command parser will check only syntax. Suppose like, let me parse it. The command is completely partial. I did not execute. I checked the command is correctly formally formatted the SQL structure or not. Suppose I provided like a command like SQL backup star. So I'm going to parse it. It is telling that syntax is correct. So that what are the command we are parsing and providing, that is checking the syntax error. Okay. If you click here, suppose I am having a multiple codes. If I get the red mark, just come here, just click it. It will go to that particular line where the syntax we have a problem. Okay. So now I'm going to take the full backup. Backup database name to disk equal to path. I parse it and I execute it. So now I'm going to check semantics error. I am going for Adi Lab. Okay. 2, 3, 4. So first it will check syntax error. The syntax error is passed. Then it will go to the semantics error. In the semantics error, it will check what are the objects we have. Okay. That objects may be database, that may be having the proper path we provide or not. It will check. That means what are the values are entering, those values are able to accessible and those objects are existing or not. So here I'm providing the database which is not available on this server. So here while executing the command, I can check exactly the command is where is executing. If you go to the bottom, in the bottom we can see which SQL instance I'm connecting. Suppose like here, I connect here one more database engine. So simply like so I supposed to take the backup default instance, but I try to execute the command in the different server. Okay. How can we know that particular query is executing to which server? So in the bottom of the page, we can see which instance it is connected. So here, this instance is connected to this particular server and which login it is connected. We have to double check. Otherwise, sometimes while executing the script execution, we are going to mess up the things. So while executing be careful which server we are going to execute, and we have to look for in the bottom of the page. It will tell which database and which server, which login we are going to execute. So let me execute this command. Go and execute. See here, we got a error. So here, in that, what we got the error, Adilab 123 does not exist. So this error, what is checking? The semantics error checking. So if the semantics and the syntax error is passed, then it will go to the next execution plan. Then query will go for the processing. So here, the checks is failed, it will throw back the error to the user. So that is a kind of like one part of the SQL Server architecture. So now you have the backup, right? Let me take the backup. So I'm going to take the database backup. So I'm going to execute the backup to this particular instance, and I logged in as this admin. I'm going to execute the backup. The three keywords, and I'm taking this location. Just I'm going to execute. So come here. The backup is coming here. It's almost coming how much? 30 GB is coming. Okay. Because my database size is almost kind of a 50 GB. So that is a reason it is coming 30 GB. Whoa. So the interview question will ask. So here I executed the backup. How can we know how long the backup will complete and how much percentage it is completed? So we have one DMV. Okay, that is called select star from sys.dm underscore exe underscore request. Okay, using that request, it will provide. Let me execute and I will explain later. Other backups will complete. Select star from sys.dm underscore exe underscore. Okay, done. It's already executed. Backup is completed, but let me take one more time so that you can understand. So here, I initiated the backups. Okay, the user is asking the how long this backup is taking, how much percentage the backup is completing. So there is a one keyword we can use, but I want to know. Suppose if the backup is running from the third-party tool, if the backup is running from the maintenance plan, how much percentage it is completed. Okay. Sorry. How long it will take to complete? To finding that, we have a select star from sys.dm underscore request. If you run this command, what it will do? What are the connections are coming? Okay. And what are the sessions are written to the database? It will tell. So using this one command, what we can do here, command like single quotes percentage backup. So let me run. Let me run one more time. Okay, I'm running this one. If I come here, I'm going to execute. So I have one command, the backup is running. So I'm simplifying the command like percentage underscore complete. So 44% is completed. Okay. So how long it is taking? Come on, spread this good. Okay. So come here. Yeah. So here 70% is completed. This many milliseconds. We have to convert into seconds. Then you have to convert into milliseconds and seconds and minutes. So for that, using sys.tm underscore request, we can come to know how much percentage completed, how long it took, and while taking the backup, how much CPU taking, and the total elapsed time. Okay. So how much time it is taking to complete. So interview will ask how much percentage the backup is completed, how long it will take. So using the one more keyword is there, but sys.dm underscore ex underscore request, where command like backup. If you run that, it will tell what are the backups are running. It may be full backup, it may be differential backup. That will tell how much percentage completed and how long it will take. Okay. So come to here, we have taken the backup. So here the backup is came like around 30 GB. Click here, right click, go for properties. Oh, sorry. It's why 2.87 GB. KBs, MBs, GBs. Oh, GBs means I have to go for one more value. Like it's a MBs only. KBs, MBs, GBs. Here. So this value you have to go for 1024 divided by 1024. So the backup size come how much around? If you go for properties, is come around 2.87 GB. Okay. So this is the full backup. So what exactly this full backup will have the information. Okay. So I'm going to, like I gave the definition, right? So what exactly it will have? If I go here. I'm not going to restore, just I get the information. So this backup having information. What is the logical file name? What is the physical file name? What is the file group names? And what is the size? And what is the maximum number? And what is the backup size? And you have go for one more. This information we will have. And if you go for here, and also what will have, which computer it has taken, and which user it has taken, and which server it is, which instance we have taken, which database it has taken, what is the database other properties, when was the backup started, when was the backup is finished, and we have one more is only. So this many information will stored in the this particular backup. So full backup is the base backup. It will contain, it is an exact copy of the database. It will contain the all the objects information, and it will along with it will take the this information. That is the full backup. Okay. So you have any doubts for full backup? Hello. So let me move to the differential backup. Okay. So once we completed the differential, full differential log backup, then we can go for the Azure backups. Okay. Maybe what I'm going to do, maybe let me explain Azure backup here. Then I can explain. Let me complete differential first. Okay. This is a full backup. So we have a one more backup. What is that backup? Differential backup. Okay. So the differential backup. Okay. The differential backup means like what is the modifications happen after the full backup. Suppose like I have the Adi Lab database. Okay. Daily like I have some operations will perform. Okay. So if you take the full backup, it will take all the exact current state information. Okay. So that will take MDF and LDF and Act2, Inact2, and as well as all the updated information. So if you take differential backup, what it will capture? If you take the differential backup, what it will do? After full backup, what are the modifications happen? That modifications will capture. Okay. So what are the modifications will happen? That will capture using the DCM phase, differential change map page. So while talking about the pages, we have a different kind of a pages, right? Like a data page, index page, BCM page, DCM page, right? So using that page, that will take that information. Let me take the MS Paint. This is the database. This is the MDF. This is the ELDF. Okay. If I take full backup, it will take entire copy. If I take the differential backup, okay. So here, full backup happened at 6 p.m. Okay. In the 6 p.m. full backup performed. So the user is enter the insert update. Okay. What it will do? This particular pages will take, right, in the log buffer and as well as the buffer cache. In the buffer cache, what you have? Log buffer and the data cache will be there, right? So what are the pages we have? Okay. So the data will going to stored in the these pages, right? So what after full backup, the pages are modified, right? What are the pages are modified? Those pages information will stored into the BCM page. So this TCM page, what it will do? What after full backup, what are the modifications happened on the pages? That page information, will stored in the DCM pages. These DCM pages, after performing, like while performing the referential backup, it won't take entire database. It will take only what are the pages modified, that particular extent information it will take. So we discussed it right here a long time. Like what is the extent? The extent is a So this is the extent. So in that, just it will record like this extent page is modified. Those information it will take. So here, this database having several pages, right? In that, while performing the differential backup, it is not going to touch entire database. It will touch and it will take the only for the DCM pages. DCM page means like what after full backup, what are the pages are modified. Those information it will recording into the DCM page. That two DCM pages it will take from the differential backup. Okay. So here the differential backups are kind of like a incremental differential. So incremental differential means like, so whenever you run the differential backup, what it will do, it will look for the latest last full backup. What are the pages are modified? Those modified page information, it will take it. Suppose I kind of like a backup command. Backup data this database name the lab to disk equal to the lab the lab. You can give any name, but the actions give try to give this. Okay. So here I'm going to run the differential backup. Okay. This differential backup, what is going to do after modification of the full backup? So after full backup, MS paid. After full backup, I have only two pages are modified. Okay. Two pages are modified. So whenever you run the differential backup, it will take only this two pages information. So just go on, click execute. Oh, sorry. See here, I did a mistake. So the thing is like, if you are not going to use keyword with the differential, what it will do, it kind of like take a full backup. So the differential, while taking the differential backup, the important keyword is like a with the differential. If you give extensions like a .df, but it will take like a full backup if you are not using with the differential. So that is important in the real time. What we thought, sometimes the people will forget to give the keyword with the differential. So here previously I did not give the differential. So here what is taking like, it is taking like a diff, but external a diff, but it is taking like a full backup. So that is the reason we have to always go for with the differential. Go and type this command. Go full back. I'm going to take the differential backup. This differential backup, after full backup only two pages are modified. It will take here. See here. If you take here the output, the backup differential successfully. Previously, the backup database. Okay. So it is taking the MDF and LDF information, but it will take only the pages. See, previously how many pages it had taken? These many pages taken. But here, while taking the differential backup, it took only 57 pages. But here we did not modify any pages. but in the background some pages are modified. SQL Server, that's kind of like it took only 57 pages. Okay. The full backup, how many it taken? 3276 pages. But differential it taken only 57 pages. So here, this is the one thing. So maybe I took the differential backup on the Monday. Okay. The Tuesday, I'm going to take again differential backup. Okay. So in that Monday to Tuesday, I have like a pages are modified. How many pages are modified? Here I have 3 pages modified. So while taking the differential backup, Tuesday differential backup. Okay. So what will happen? It will look for the latest differential. And sorry, not latest differential. It will look for the latest full backup. After that, what are the pacer modification happen? That modifications it will take. So here in the Tuesday, from up to last full backup to today, how many pages are modified? The one page modified, 2 pages modified. After that, this page also modified. So it will take entire these pages. Okay. So that means it will contain the information about the previous differential. Why? Because the previous differential has taken only 2 pages. So the latest differential, it will look for the what are the modification of the latest full. So that means it will take here. So let me run the command. Go for Tuesday. So it taking the 57 pages, but in that 57 pages, like in the background, we can think about like a 5 pages are modified. These 5 pages will take it. Okay. So now I'm going to go for like Wednesday. So Wednesday, 1 page modified happened. In the Wednesday, 1 page is modified. So if I am going to take the Wednesday differential backup, what it will do? It will look for the latest full backup. What are the pages are modified? So from the Wednesday, what are the pages modified? From the full backup means like this is the page modified Monday. This is the page modified on the another day. These are pages are modified. So it will take these pages and as well as these pages. So what is that means? The differential backups are incremental. So that means the Wednesday differential backup will contain the data about for Monday and Tuesday. And if you go for Tuesday differential, that will contain the Monday differential and backup. Suppose like if you take the differential backup on Friday, that Friday differential backup will contain the data about the Monday differential and Tuesday and Wednesday and as well as Thursday and that Friday. So that means the differential backups are incremental until the full backup. Suppose here, if I lost the any backups like a differential backup, suppose if I lost the Tuesday also, that data will contain the Thursday differential backup. Suppose if I lost the Thursday differential backup, that data will contain the Friday full backup. Why? Because these differential backups are incremental. So what is the differential backup means? Like differential backup is the one kind of the backup type in SQL Server. In the differential backup, while taking the backup, it will take the information about what are the pages are modified for the latest full backup. Those pages only it will capture. That is the definition of the differential backup. So now you got this point for differential. If you cleared, I can go and explain the Azure backups. Okay. Tomorrow I can explain remaining backups, but I can spend for 20 like 1 hour for Azure. Okay. So right now you have to understand. Somebody ping here. Incremental or cumulative, both are same. So incremental, cumulative means like what is the cumulative? Cumulative means like it kind of like a cumulative means like the full backup, Friday differential backup containing the Thursday differential backup, and it will containing the Wednesday differential backup. The cumulative means like a kind of like a, it will have the previous data. Okay, so Friday differential backup will have Thursday differential data, Wednesday differential data, and Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday. Thursday differential will backup having the previous differential. Those chain are those what we can call like a cumulative. So the differential backup we can call like a cumulative backups. Okay, that is for cumulative. You have any doubts for now? Like full backup and differential backup, because the interview will ask how the differential will backup, which criteria, and how the backup will perform. And they will ask if I lost the Wednesday or Thursday backup, can I use Friday backup differential? Yes, we can use. Why? Because the Friday differential will containing the previous differential backup data. Why? Because whenever you type the with differential, that will look for the what are the pages are modified from the last full backup. It won't consider the previous differential pages modified. It will look for the latest full. What are the pages were modified from the last full backup? Those pages it will take. So this is the full backup and differential backup. Somebody ping one more thing. What is this? Any doubts? Let me know. I'll explain. Yes. So Sitaram, like differential backups are like a cumulative or incremental. Both are the same word. Okay.
Good.
Cumulative means like
Thank you.
it will contain the previous data. Incremental means like it will keep on add the data. So in cumulative, incremental, the word is same.
Thank you. Yes.
So now the thing is like now we are going to look for the Azure storage. Okay. So the here most of the people are working in a like a different technology, right? So every day we are logging into the virtual machines. Every day we are logging into the computer. So knowingly, unknowingly, we are logging into the Azure storage. That means we are logging into the cloud-based servers. That may be Google Cloud, that may be Azure, that may be AWS. Okay. So generally the people doesn't know. Like, are we really logging into the cloud or not. Right now, I log into the one computer. This is kind of like a normal computer. But if you see here, I logged into the one computer. Okay. But this computer I created in the Azure environment. So this having like a, if you see here, this computer having C drive, and this computer having a D drive, and this kind of like a we can say configuration manager, this kind of like a virtual machine. This virtual machine I created, and while creating the virtual machine, I installed the SQL Server. Okay, this is kind of like a IaaS model, infrastructure as a service. So end of the course, I can explain what is the IaaS model, what is the PaaS model, and what is the SaaS model. Okay, so that time you will get the some idea. So here, how we are going to take the backup to the Azure storage. Okay, so think about like I want to migrate the server from on-prem to Azure. So that means on-prem computer to Azure computer. So that scenario, how we are going to take the backup, how we are going to restore the database from on-prem to Azure. So that time we like the Azure storage account comes to the picture. Okay. So the previously what I mentioned, we are taking the backups to the Azure storage. Okay. So those Azure storage, how we are going to take the backup? I have the storage account. So directly I can go and take it, the backups? No. So the best example is like I have an apartment. So if I want to enter the apartment, what I need? First, I need that apartment building number, and once I get reached there, I need that particular apartment number key. Then only I can go and enter. So that is the reason that particular storage information we have to register in the SQL server. Then only we can take the this kind of a backups. We can take the full backup, we can take the differential backup, we can take the log backup to the Azure storage. So here, this mission in the Azure we have. So how we are going to take the backups? Okay. So here, if I want to take the backup to the Azure storage, so for that I need to register some credential. Okay, what is the credential? The credentials means like kind of like a identity, like which location and which storage, and from up to which time I need to take the read, and which time up to I need to write. Those information we have to register. Then only our SQL server able to communicate the storage account, and it can able to take the backup. Okay, so here I'm not going to explain in depth what is the storage account and what are the storage account services. But end of the class, I will explain what is the storage account and what are the types of the storage services. But right now, I'm going to show how to take the backup to Azure storage. So here, somebody is pinging something. No, right? Any charts? I think no. Let go here. Come on. What is the? So let me go for a small definition. What is the storage account? The storage account is kind of like a, here I mentioned Azure storage. Okay. So Azure storage, we can call like a storage account. That is a kind of like a shared location. If you go for AWS, the word will be changed like a S3 bucket. Okay. If you are using the Microsoft cloud vendor, that time the shared location we can call like a storage account. That storage account, we have a different types of storage accounts. In that different storage accounts, we have different of services, because storage account is a container. In that container, we can store the data. That may be objects, that may be tapes, that may be kind of a pictures, that may be kind of a some other information. So the basically the storage account, it will provide the room or kind of a like a data warehouse. That means it will provide the storage place. In that storage place, we can keep the data. That data may be files, data may be backups, that may be kind of a images, data may be kind of like a tapes kind of information, and these storage accounts will access through the network using HTTP or maybe HTTPS. Okay. So using this HTTP and HTTPS, the storage account will be accessed across the network. So that is the reason we can able to take the backup through on-prem to store Azure and Azure to our this particular area. Okay. So now this class have my local computer. Okay. If I go here, this is my local computer. If I go click here, my local computer is a kind of a on-prem. I want to migrate the server SQL Server backups to Azure. How can I take? I will show you. This is the on-prem, like on-prem environment. On-prem means like this entire operating system, this entire storage, this entire network is maintaining from the our organizations. That is called like a on-prem. On-prem is our environment. We know where we are going to keep our data centers. We know like what are the networks we have, and we know what are the software we are going to use. That kind of terminology we can call like a on-prem. So if you're going for Azure, so this is my computer. If I go here, storage accounts. Okay. So if you want to log into the Azure, okay. So generally most of the people doesn't have the Azure portal access. So Azure portal is the one kind of a graphical user interface that will keep and provide the all the resources one place. Okay. So in front of our screen, we can see the Azure portal. Okay. This is Azure for private for one of my friend. Okay. So here this is the Azure portal. Okay. This is my private purpose for only for eligible 28 days. That's a free service.
Sir, is there any opportunity? Can you show me how to register in this Azure?
Yes. So next week you can go and register. Not for now. Why? Because if you register now, the days will calculate. Unnecessarily, we are going to lose our free login account. Okay. So I will
Okay.
let you know when you people are going to register this Azure free tool. Maybe next week you can use, so that I can explain the Azure PaaS server and Azure SQL databases, Azure Elastic Pool databases, and some other Azure virtual machines. I will explain that time so that you can people utilize. If you register today itself, you are going to lose the free service. So by default, Microsoft is going to like some $20,000 for free. Okay. For that, you have to go and create and you have to shut down. Otherwise, If the free service will calculate like 30 days along with this resource. So if we create the resource, the each and every resource will be calculating as a rupees, like a dollar. So if you are going to use or not, that suppose you have created the one virtual machine. If you are not using, even though the bill will be calculated. Okay. So don't register now. If you have the credit card, you can log in with credit card using your Gmail account. Okay. So here, what is the Azure portal? So each and every company having one tenant. That tenant having like a different kind of a subscriptions and account. Okay. Azure Active Directory. So for that each and every company will create one login ID. Using that login ID, we can log into the Azure portal. That Azure portal is kind of like a graphical user interface that will provide in front of us so that we can create the computers, we can create the storage accounts, and we can create the, if we go here, we can create databases, we can create virtual networks, and we can go and create some app services, and we can create some functionalities. We can go and create SQL databases. So if you're going as a Azure database administrator, you must familiarize these keywords, because if you want to pick up your resume, you have to keep Azure keyword. Then only your resume will shortlist. Otherwise, your resume is not going to shortlist. Why? Because the resume is shortlisting from the AI, because every company using Azure storage, not like Azure or any kind of a cloud. So if you are going to like a Azure database administrator, means you have to familiarize what is the resource group and what is the SQL databases, how to log into the Azure portal. Then you have to familiarize. So here, previously we created the one virtual machine. Creating the virtual machine and creating the resource groups and creating the storage accounts and creating these things will maintained by the Azure administrator. So nowadays the Azure administrator can able to manage all the things. He can able to create the virtual machine. He can able to create the SQL databases. He can able to create the Azure SQL logical servers. So why? Because those having contributor access, so that the people can have create this many resources. So if you go for Azure administrator, what they will do, your organization will provide the access in the some particular subscription. In that particular subscription, you can able to create the SQL databases. You can able to create the SQL servers. Why? Because in the backend they will provide the Azure SQL contributor access. If you have the contributor access, you can able to create these things. These things maybe I can cover later. Okay, but our goal is how can you take the backups to the Azure storage account. So here I have a Azure storage account, kind of like a Azure storage company. Okay, in that Azure storage company, I created one container. Okay, in that storage, come on, it's very slow. Yeah, so this is the storage account. This storage account is like a container. This container will provide the different of storage services. What are those? Okay, if you go here, we have a blob service. That is the one storage service. We have a file shares. that is the one storage area that we can call like a one service. We have like a queue and a tables. So we have a queue service and we have a table service. So generally we are keeping the backups in the blob service. If you want to keep the backups, we have to use blob service. Okay. In that blob service, we have to create the containers. So if you want to go to the Azure administrator, you know how to create the storage account. You know how to create the container. And once you know that, how you registered these values into the SQL server. Because these permissions will vary from the company to company, but you must know how to register these values. Why? Because some companies won't give the permissions to create the storage accounts, to create the containers. But as a database team, they will provide the permission on the particular subscription, so that particular subscription you can able to create the storage account, you can able to create the what I meant to say, containers. So from beginning onwards, like I can create the storage account. So here, go and here, search for storage account. Give me 1 minute. Now. Let me take a water and come back. Here, I'm back. So here we can create a one storage account. So here in each and every organization, what they will do, these storage accounts, what are the backups we are going to keep? Those backups will keeping into the one subscription. So here, before going this step, let me take one small quick demo for not for the confusion. So here, tenant is there. Okay. In that tenant, multiple subscription will be there. But don't confuse, okay? Adi is telling, oh, he said he will teach for SQL, but in between he's telling Azure, okay? These are correlated, okay? If you want to go for SQL, and you have to go for as a Azure SQL. We need to know this all this terminology. Okay. So here go for subscription, kind of like a subscription to subscription thing. In that subscription, create multiple resource groups. Resource group. Okay. So in that resource group, we can create multiple resources. Okay. Here, tenant will be there. That is the our company portal. Once you log in that we have different subscriptions. Okay. In the different subscription, like production, service, we can keep one subscription. And one company resource, we can keep one subscription. A different product or maybe different resource, we can keep one subscription. Under subscription, we can create a resource group. Okay. So the resource group is nothing but a container. It won't contain exact data. Subscription also, it won't contain exact data, but it will keep the resources and it will maintain the some cost purpose to get the track the information. But under resource groups, we have a resources. That resource may be computer, that resource may be network, that resource may be storage, that resource may be load balancer, that resource may be application server. So come to here. So here, these all are resources. Okay. So this is the main our Azure portal. In that tenant, what are the in front of you seeing? That is one tenant. Tenant means like rent place, right? One rent place. In that we have a subscription. Under subscription, okay. Under subscription, we can create multiple resource groups. Okay. See here, I have only one subscription. I cannot create another subscriptions. But in my organizations, I have like a 90 plus subscriptions. Okay. Each subscription belongs to each product and each subscription belongs to one customer. Bobby, but those subscriptions I have permissions. But there may be we have maybe different subscriptions also, but I can only have access. So here, today morning, I created a few resources. That cost is coming around 20 rupees. So the cost will calculate from the subscription. But morning what I did the one virtual machine and I did the one storage account. That cost is coming from the one subscription. So how can I go here? This is subscription. So here, if I go here, I created the one resource group. Resource group. If I go here, okay. So this is the resource group. In that resource group, what are the resources I have? Backups is the one resource, and the company A is the one resource group, and one network is the one resource. Okay, but all the under this is subscription. So this subscription, I have one resource group. That resource group name is, what is the resource group? This is the resource group or what? This is a group. Resource group. Let me go here. What solution? So I create one computer. Node here. Okay. So here, that node, one subscription like a one subscription I taken, that registered on the resource group company here. If I go here, right click, duplicate tab. If I go for duplicate tab, if I go here, if I go for a storage account, if I click here, yeah, see here I created come on. Network error. It's a free service, right? That is the reason it's not able to pull. But anyway, so one subscription, one tenant. In it we have multiple subscription. In we have resource groups. Okay. Right now I'm going to create one storage account. If you go into storage account, come here. Once you search storage account, once come here, then create here. Just click the create. It will ask which is subscription I have to keep and which resource group I have to keep. So I have to select accordingly which resource subscription you have to go into keep. Okay. Why? Because it will vary company which resource subscription we have to keep. So those information while entering into the KT session, they will tell. Backups we need to keep the storage account. If you want to create the virtual machine, we want to create the subscription. If you want to create the computer for this product, we have to keep into the subscription. Okay. So here subscription is one, but coming to the resource group. So this subscription is a kind of like a multi-tenant. Multi-tenant means like one subscription, I can keep multiple company resource or multiple products company resource. So for that one subscription, I can create different of resource groups. For company A, so suppose like here I have three resource groups. Okay, I have one company. For company, I have a resource group. For that company, I want to create a 10 computers. All 10 computers, I will keep into the one company resource group. Why? Because that 10 company cost will comes to the this is resource group. Suppose like I have one more company B. Then what I have to do? I have to create a company B, and that under company B, I have to create a resources. So now here I have one resource group called like backups. This is the one resource group. Under backups, I'm going to create the storage accounts. Okay. So first we need to select the hello. Yeah. So first we need to go to the storage account, then go to the subscription. We have to come here. You have to choose subscription name. Then you have to go for resource group. Then you have to go for storage account name. That storage account name we have to provide. Okay. I'm giving like a production backups. I given like a that name already taken in the Microsoft somebody using free. Okay. Production backup Adi. Okay, this name is not there. Okay. So this storage account, which region I'm going to choose. So here, this is the important region. Why? Because what are the backups taking from the SQL server? What are the backups we are taking from the virtual machine? That SQL server, virtual machine, and this particular storage account in the same region. Suppose my computer, okay, this is sitting into the West US. I should not create the storage account in the West US. I need to create the storage account based on this particular computer region. So the region, the company will tell, like I have a customer. The customer business will run East US. The company customers will business will run West, and they will tell while creating the virtual machine which region we have to choose. They will tell. Accordingly, we have to create. For our part is like creating the storage account. Why the storage account? The storage account, we are going to keep the backups. So this backup, this storage account, which virtual machine we are going to use? We know, right? That is our computer. So our computer, how can we know which region? East US. If you go to the Azure portal, if you type the computer name, it will provide what is the resource group we kept, and currently that computer is running or not, and that particular computer which resource and which region, and that particular computer what is the operating system, that particular computer having how many CPU, how many RAM you have, and what is the other information. Okay, like we can go for monitoring some other things, but database team, like we need to understand some this terminology if you're going for these things, because sometimes if you have the access, we can go and monitor this particular computer. Like if you go inside, I can go and click here, right click task manager. That will provide the current CPU and memory utilization. But if I want to go last 1 week, last 1 month monitoring, I can check it from here itself. So now our main goal is creating the storage account. Come to the here, storage account name, you have to provide the storage account region. We have to select appropriately to our SQL server virtual machine region. Then we have to choose preferable storage type. Okay, so we have to choose their storage types: LRS, ZRS. No. The preferable storage like storage V1, like storage Gen 2, Azure files, and other tables. So we are going to keep as like a backups, right? So backups are going to use Azure Blob. Why? Because if you choose the storage blob, then only it will allow .bak format or maybe .backpack and some other using. So that is the reason you have to use preferable storage Azure Blob. Okay. So generally these things will create from the Azure administrator. Sometimes they will ask to create from ourselves also. So you have to familiarize these words. So there is a performance standard or for premium. So generally we are getting standard. Why? Because if we go for premium, the cost will be high. The standard premium will provide some better performance. That is okay. So go for standard premiums. So the one more thing is like redundancy. So you people just read about this terminology, like what is the purpose of redundancy? The redundancy means like what are the backups are we keeping? Like are we going to keep one copy? Are we going to keep multiple copies? Are we going to keep this backup files? The same data center, how many files we have to keep? Like we have a different kind of redundancy. So if you go for redundancy, just click it here. We can see LRS local redundancy means we are going to take only one copy. That copy will not going to replicate to the some other regions. If we are going for GRS, that means the backup will going to the other region. Why? Because if any region outages comes, our computer will be go down, our backups will be go down. Then what is the, how can we recover? So that scenario, if you want to you access the backups, that we must have choose the region GRS. So next class, while coming, just go and do some homework. What is the purpose of LRS? What is the purpose of GRS? What is the purpose of ZRS? What is the purpose of ZRS? So generally, what we can do, the production database backups, we are going to keep GRS. Why? Because one copy will maintain to the other region. So right now is our testing purpose. I'm going to keep LRS. In the production environment, we have to inform your team to keep the backup into the GRS. They will ask what is the purpose of GRS? Geo redundant storage. That means the backup will copy to the one more copy to the other region. So now go and review and create. So here the thing is like subscription, resource group, storage account, region. The thing is like important is region and redundancy we have to select. If you choose wrong location, if you choose wrong redundancy, the network latency will be more and the cost will be more. Go and review and create. If you review and create, the storage account it will create. The storage account is nothing but a container. In that storage account, we can create different types of storage services. So the validations are passed. We are going to create storage account. Go and create. So the thing is like here, networking is there. Okay. So this networking we can enable. If you want to access the storage account across the global network, we can click like a public. If you the storage account, you're able to access this particular computers, this particular virtual networks, that time we have to choose private and we have to keep that particular computer's virtual network, so that will the storage account will access for only for this particular network and resource. So here on-prem migrations, right? So we have to create the storage account is a public access. Okay. And public access, and you have to provide the limited days for accessing. Okay, I will show you how to do it. So we created the storage account. Once we create the storage account, under the storage account, we have to, once we create the storage account, come to the blob service. Come to the blob service, then go here, blob service, then create a container. So container is the actual storage area. Here the backups will store. So by default, one logs will be continually created that will recording for the this particular storage account. But for we want to create the container, then you have go and create that container type. You can go as only private. So I'm going to use here migration storage account. No need to change anything. Just go and click create. So here we created the one storage account. Under the storage account, we created the one migrations. That means our building is ready, and in that building, one room is ready. In that, we can keep our backups. So once this information is ready, we have to register the storage account, and we have to register this particular container information to the SQL server, so that the SQL server will be able to communicate and will be able to take the backup, and it will be able to read the backup from the storage account. So here, go and come here, just come here, come to the private. Here, create a generate SAS signature. Why? Because while generating the SAS signature, it will create the storage account, container name, and as well as the secret key. Those information we have to register in the SQL server using that storage container and secret key. The SQL server will be able to communicate. Okay. So we are going to generate SAS token. So here, these other topics I will explain in the last 2-3 days for what is the account key, how many for this key, how many key types we have. I can explain. Every storage account having 2 keys. I will explain later. But now the thing is like we are going to give some permission to the storage account container, and those will be information we can register. So here, if we keep read, what it will do, we can able to read the information, but we cannot able to write. So that is the reason. Click here, go and create write. Apart from that, if you going to delete, who are having to this login, this particular migration key information, they can able to delete. Don't give delete, only like read and write, and able to give create. They can able to create as well. You can able to go and list. It's kind of like a array. So the basically read and write information is sufficient to read the backup, to write the backup. So why I need to provide the list? The list, if you want to register these values in the storage browser, okay, the storage browser is a different concept. I will explain, but right now, just concentrate how we are going to register these values. So this container, you have to provide the information, read and create and list permission. So when you are going to start, okay, I'm going to start using this container from onwards, and how long this storage account and container able to access. Okay, so the real time, if you want to go for production environment, go for 100 years. Sometimes we are going for migration site. The migration will happen only for 10 days or 15 days. So for that, you have to choose respectively the days. Okay, if I want to go for 10 days, go click here 8 days. So that coming 18th, I can able to access the storage account only this particular timing until date, until this time. So here the thing is like generating the SAS signature, we have to generate, and those values we have to register. Select the appropriate parameters here, come here, give the start time and expiry time, then go for HTTPS. Why? Because it has to travel through the network. So that is the reason we have to go for HTTPS and HTTP URL, and go and generate SAS token and URL. So here we can generate blob SAS token and blob SAS URL. So here coming to the take blob SAS URL. take this information and copy this information. If you come here, copy the clipboard, and we have to keep this value into the one T-SQL. Then you have to run this T-SQL to the SQL server so that one credential will be created. So here, previously, I registered the one storage account information. Once I registered, those values will be presented here. If you go here, security, if you go to credential, okay, under credential, we can register multiple storage account, okay. So previously morning I registered one more value, one more storage account, or one more container. So right now I'm going to register one more storage account and one more container. How I'm going to register? So here, come here. Once you generate the SaaS token, come to the here, come here. So here. So once you generate the source token, we can see the question mark. Before this is the one fundamental command. Okay. So create credential. After credential, we have to provide the our storage account with container. We have to identity, which identity we have to use. Shared signature identity. This we are going to change. The secret, like how long this storage account container will access. So here we have to provide, just to you provided it. So here this is the starting time, this is the ending time. So we generated those values, we have to keep it here. So how we need to keep it? Once we generate the SaaS signature, before question mark, copy the value, copy it, put it here. Okay. After the question mark, we can see SP. Then copy here until 3 days. Come here. Put it here. So this value we have to register. Come here. Come here. So I'm going to register this particular storage account and container using this secret key. I'm going to execute. If you execute master or MSDP, whatever it may be, by default, it will go to the security. Just go and execute. Once we execute, just come here, click refresh. Once you come here, security, then come here, credential, then we can see the one credential is created. Using this credential, we can take the backup. Okay, so I can tell you. So right now, if I go inside, I did not copy any information. So here, I can, if I want to upload data to here, the storage account. Okay. If I want to download, I can also download. Okay. That is the reason we need to provide some permissions. So right now, the storage account container, I don't have any information. Just now I registered. Okay. So now I'm going to take the backup. How I need to take the backup? So come here, new query, the same syntax, backup. Okay. Database, I will create one database here. I create one database, Adi2. Adi2 database I took, okay. So I'm going to take full backup to the storage account. Backup, database name, Adi. 2 is the common. So previously what I mentioned, disk, right? That is a local disk. Now I'm going to keep the backup into the Azure storage account. So if you want to go for any here, what is the thing? This is the URL, right? What we can URL, right? So that is the reason we have to mention the keyword URL. Why? Because the backup will transfer through the network and it will keep into the cloud. So that is the reason we have to keep URL. If you want to take the backup to Azure storage, the word is URL. If you want to take the backup to the disk, you have to keep disk. So URL. URL equal to what I need to do? Come here. This is the my container. Come to last, go to 3 dots, right click, go to container properties. That will provide completely storage account name along with that container information. Come here. Here, copy this one. Put it here. Single quote is common. Then I have to keep it here. Okay. Then we have to provide the database name. Adi full dot bk. So here backup syntax is same, keyword is same, database syntax is keyword is same. That Adi. Okay. Adi, I'm going to that. What are the database you have to go? We have to provide the two is the keyword is same and the URL, that is a Azure storage. They have to keep URL. And then after that you have to provide the storage account and container information. After that you have to provide the name of the file name and type of the backups. So right now I'm taking the full backup with the dot back extension. So right click here, parse it here, just go and execute.
Here database name is wrong.
Yes, yes. So if you go here, Adi 2. Go and click here, go and execute. See, backup is completed, right? So if you come here, if you click here, the backup is taken, right? See, what is the blob type? So blob type is like we have a you need to study different types of blob types. Okay, we have a page blob, block blob, and page blob. Okay, so block blob is the cheapest. Okay, page blob is the costly. Okay, so page blob, I will show you different. If you taking the backups here, I created the credential here, security. I created the credential using shared signature. We can create the credential using security key. Okay. So using the secret key. If you create that, the backups will be stored in the page blob. That is a costly. So that is the reason we are not using the credential to creating the secret key. Those things I can explain while discussing about the Azure class. So right now we are discussing about the kind of a how to take the backup and how to restore the backup from on-prem to Azure. So right now I registered the storage account information to the Azure. So both are in the same Azure. So now thinking about I have this information. I'm going to register this information to the our on-prem environment. So here, come here, copy this information. So I'm going to migrate one database. I'm going to migrate small. I don't that's necessary. I want to take prod database from migrate from on-prem to Azure. So how you need to transfer the backup, right? That is the first question interview will ask. How we are going to transfer the backup? So the people what they will do tell the Windows team will take the backup and they will map the network share and they will attach into the on-prem. We will take the local backup and we will move the local backup to that file share and that file share will attach into the Azure VM. From there we can download to the local machine and we can restore. Those process will tell. That is the one thing. Like some people will tell we can take the backup to the local disk From their local disk, once we taken, the backup will sharing into the file share, or maybe that sharing into the OneDrive, that sharing into the any file share. Okay. So if you going there for that process, what will happen? Taking the local backup to the local disk and taking the backup to from local disk to upload to the file share. From there, file share to download to the local disk, and we have to register, right? So here the taking the backup and restoring it will take only like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. The pain is like uploading the backup to file share and downloading the backup from file share. That will take hours and hours. Why? Because the network and some other glitches. So that will take hours and hours. So as a Azure database administrator, we have to tell the backup we need to take the Azure storage account to the container. For that, we have to register that storage account and container information to the on-prem environment. For that, we will generate storage signature for specific time, so that they can register those values in that their on-prem environment, and they can take the backup directly to the storage account. Once the backup is placing into the storage account, directly we can register it, so that we can emulate, copy, and we can emulate, download, and backup restore will be very fast. So right now I'm going to register the Azure storage information to the on-prem. So if you go here and click here, go for security, go for credential. Right now I don't have any credential registered in the on-prem. Just now I'm going to register this credential. Go and execute. It executed. Click here. Okay. So come here. Security. Come to credential. Credential created. So from on-prem environment, I'm taking to the backup to the Azure environment storage account. So backup, database name prod to URL equal to the same URL will be visited here. Okay? Here, come here, give slash prod full dot pat. So I'm directly taking the production database backup to storage account. I will go and execute. It will take a longer time. Why? Because my computer having different region and the storage account have different region. So that is the reason we can see a little bit latency. So we need to ask the customer that particular computer, that particular instance, which region. Accordingly, we have to create the storage account. So the backup is taken to the Azure storage. So come here, just click, refresh it. We can see the backup, right? So the backup is taken to the storage account. So that what we did, we eliminated this backup to take local disk and copying the local disk to any file share or any FileZilla or maybe any third-party tool or any maybe file share. Once we uploaded, we have to come here. We have to download to the local disk. From there, we have to register. See here, what we need to do? Here, no need to do anything. Just come here. Just I have to check. Like, File list. File LA file list only correct. Restore file list only. Hey, come on. For restore, I will tell how to step by step, but naming like for showing purpose, I will do restore. Okay, so that other people already knows the restore process. No, just an explain restore. So I'm going to restore these things, but other people who are not know the restoring process, I will explain after these backups. Okay, but the people will understand how to restore. They can understand. Okay, just I'm going to restore the database on directly to the here. The database was backed up on the running.
Same name.
No. See, the thing is like not the name. See, read the error. So the thing is like the Azure VM SQL Server have the running in 2016, but I took the backup 2022. Okay, so that is the reason mismatched. So from lower version to higher version, I cannot restore. No. See, higher version to lower version, I cannot restore. Lower version to higher version, we can restore. So if we come here, the on-prem environment having 2022, but in the Azure, what I'm going to restore 2016. So that is the one prerequisite. Like if you want to restore the backups, the version would be same or maybe higher. In our scenario, incompatible version. So that is the reason we are not able to restore. If it is 2022, you can easily restore. That is a process for restoring. Okay, we got it right. How to take the backup from to Azure and how to restore it from on-prem and as well as Azure. This is the important concept for migrations. And also, if you are working with Azure environment, all the backups we have to perform like only, and all the restore we have to perform like this only, not for the local storage account. So for that, you people understand what is the storage account and what are the storage services we have and what are the like redundancy we have. Okay, how to register the storage account information to the SQL server. So I hope
Right.
you understand.
Sir,
Mhm.
yeah, sir, I had a doubt. Previously, you said that in the organization we are going to have like a lot of, what we can say, lot of databases,
Yes, yes.
right? So I mean, in the organization, just consider there is only 10 DBAs,
Mm.
and you said like in previously you said like thousands of databases, right?
Yes.
So as manually we can't able to take the all the databases. So how we are going to do that approach?
That's what I like. That is coming to the next approach. Okay, that is like a automation.
Okay,
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 that is like a
okay.
maintenance
Automation.
plan.
Okay,
Okay, so we
okay.
are not going to take sheet and manually run the backups to run 10 p.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m. We are not going to do. So for that,
Okay. Are
automation.
we going to keep any timer for that?
Yes, yes, like a weekly full backup, differential every day, and log backup every 1 hour 30 minutes. But that fully depends upon the RPO, RTO. Okay, that
Sorry,
scenario
sorry.
we have to
What
take
was
it.
that?
RPO.
Okay.
Okay, RPO and RTO.
RPO.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay. Future topic.
we have future topics. So we are not
Okay.
going to run manually. Okay, we are going to schedule. Okay, so that is the reason MSDB came right. MSDB for SQL Server Agent for scheduling the jobs, run the automation task. What is the purpose of MSDB, right? MSDB for SQL Server Agent, that is for jobs and automation task. Okay, so we can create the jobs and we can schedule it accordingly. It will run. Okay, so
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
so now one more thing is like I can explain here because here this is a storage account, right? So from how long I need to keep the backups. This is very important. Otherwise, cost will become more. So if you go to the storage account, if you have to go to the left hand blade, left hand panel, and what are the things we think like a call like a blade? Go for data management, then go for life cycle management. If we click life cycle management, okay, so here we need to create the rule. So here the rule it will tell how long we need to keep these backups. If I keep like a retention RETEN retention 30 days, you can give any name, but here keep here I want to go snapshot versus what are the information you're going to see these things, values we have to give. Here, come here. We have to give, if we give 12 days, the backups will store in 12 days. If we give 5 days, 2 days, it will give 2 days. If you give 30 days, the backup will store in the 30 days. This is the very important to keep the retention period. In the on-prem environment, what we can do in the automation, we can run the PowerShell script, or maybe in the maintenance plan, we can create maintenance plan history for 4 weeks or 2 weeks. We can do that. But in the Azure portal, for a storage account, we have to create one rule in the lifecycle management. In the lifecycle management, we have to provide the dates. Accordingly, that many dates backups will be stored. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording here. Then I will stop it, recording here.